G'day guys, Dane here from Clarkey's NRL column. Welcome back to another weekly video. This is the weekly tipping video. I release this video every Tuesday and I basically just give my tips for the upcoming round and my opinions as to why I'm making that selection. As always guys, I love to hear your feedback in the comments, so if you'd like to debate any tips I'm putting up and you think another team will win for a reason, that's always the great thing about footy. Everyone's got an opinion. And it's good to share those opinions and spark discussions, I suppose, between us. So we'll start off with Eels versus Panthers. I like the Eels in this one. They're coming off a pretty tough fortnight. Obviously, the loss to Melbourne, compounded with the loss last week as well. But they are undefeated at Bankwest, right? I mean, I know they've only had 2 games there, but they've looked absolutely superb in both of those outings. For that reason, I think that gives them a little bit of an edge mentally heading into this one. On the other side of the spectrum, guys, we've got the Panthers, and look, they have been shocking. We all know the story. We all know what's going on there. 50-plus missed tackles again last week. Until I see sort of a change of intent and purpose on defense, it's impossible for me to tip the Panthers at this stage of the year from what I've seen so far. So I'm going to go the Eels by 12 points. All right, Sea Eagles versus Titans, guys. Now, I have to go with the Sea Eagles here, even though I'm a proud Titans man through and through. I think the Titans pack can match it with this Manly pack, but their spine, from what we've seen so far this year, is still unable to lead and step up and make the correct plays throughout an 80-minute performance. They've looked very dangerous in patches, but they haven't put in a full 80-minute performance yet, guys. Even though the Titans spine has more experience than the Manly spine, Manly are just riding a wave of confidence. They are turning up for each other. They just keep turning up throughout the game and they keep finding ways to win despite injuries. I like them in this one. I'm going to go the Manly by 4 points. All right, Knights versus Roosters, guys. Now, I'd love to see the Knights get up here just before I get into my tip. Piercy to win against his old club. We all know the Roosters dumped him. We all know the story there, but sadly, rugby league isn't built on fairy tales, and I think the Roosters will be well up for this one, despite the Knights having the home ground advantage now. They lost last week in a bit of a shock loss, I suppose. Part of that could be due to fatigue and travel. They had a few injuries the week before. They travelled to Suncorp Stadium twice in a fortnight. Also, another component has to be their complacency, and I think that's going to be missing from their games. And when the Roosters are not complacent and they are playing their best football, we know how dangerous they are. Now, the Knights on their own part are riding a wave of success. They have looked absolutely spectacular. In fact, a win here, I believe, would be 5 in a row. Despite that, when I look across the park, I think the Roosters are slightly more classier in all areas, so I'm going to tip the Roosters in a close one by 2 points. Raiders versus Cowboys. I'm hopefully going to this game live as I'm off this weekend. Raiders will be right up for this, especially after their last fortnight. They've had 2 very close losses to premiership heavyweights, the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, 6 and 4 points respectively. They've had a big past fortnight despite both being losses. On to the Cowboys. Look, they looked better against the Eels, and they are improving slowly, but I think Raiders are too much of a jump for them within one round. I think the Raiders will be pretty dominant here, given they have the home ground advantage. I can tell you what, it's getting bloody cold down here in Canberra, and I imagine it's still pretty sunny and hot up in Townsville, so the Cowboys are in for a shock, not just via the climate and the weather. I also think the Raiders will do them by 14 points. All right, Warriors versus Broncos. Given this is in New Zealand and the Broncos have been blessed with 0 travel for the past fortnight, I think they may struggle. I don't want to take anything away from their win against the Roosters. They were absolutely spectacular. But obviously, you know, there was a couple excuses that could be made for the Roosters there. Despite that, the Warriors are riding a wave of confidence at the moment. And for me, they need to win this game as a club to remove that inconsistency tag, something that's been at the club for probably the last half a decade now. And this season, they really want to remove that. With Cody Nikorima, they have a genuine chance because he really does suit their play style. I hope Nikorima scores and has a blinder. I hope he has the best game of the season here. His departure from the Broncos, I didn't like how it was handled. I didn't like the fact he was told you were just warming this spot for Tom Dearden in the future. But I suppose that does show rugby league is a business first and foremost. But I'm going to go for the Warriors here by 6. Rabbitohs versus Tigers. It's impossible to go against the Bunnies at the moment, guys. I don't see complacency slipping into their game either, especially with Origin around the corner. And we know Cody Walker, we know Cam Murray are up for selection. Damien Cook will probably be there also. So for that reason, I don't see any complacency slipping into their game, and I see them getting another win here. Now, Tigers looked sharp against the Storm. Don't get me wrong. But guys, they looked sharp for 70 minutes. And against a team like the Rabbitohs that are full of attacking strike weapons, players like Cody Walker, they are perfectly poised to capitalize on any concentration lapses that the Tigers may have in their defense. Melbourne were able to capitalize, and I think the Rabbitohs are even better suited to capitalize. All that being said, I'm going to go the Rabbitohs by 10 points. Storm versus Bulldogs, I'm sure everyone remembers their first encounter. I'm sure both teams will remember their encounter only just 1 or 2 months gone by. Strangely, I think that favours the Storm. I know the Bulldogs looked on fire against them and they were playing their best game of the year until the Storm were able to come back. But for me, the Storm are too classy and too experienced to allow a repeat of that. They came out slow and sluggish. Perhaps they had an attitude where at Amy Park against the Doggies, we're going to turn up and win, and it almost cost them. It could have cost them if Reece Martin had got that conversion from the sideline. Albeit he missed, the Storm went on to win it. But I guarantee you Bellamy will have this team fired up and make sure they do not repeat that mistake. I think we're going to see a masterclass from the Storm here. Something similar to what we saw against the Eels, perhaps. I don't know. But I'm going to tip the Storm by 18 points. Final game for the round, guys. Dragons take on the Sharkies. The rivalry continues. We get to see another chapter written in the book. I like the Sharks to win this one, guys, but don't hold me to it. I'm on the fence here. I love the energy from both teams' forward packs at the moment. I think the Sharks probably have a little bit better combination of young enthusiasm mixed with experience. We've got Hamlin Ueli, Jack Williams mixed in with Gallen, Fafita, Pryor, etc. But I just don't know, if I'm being honest with you guys. I don't know. I'm so on the fence for this game. The only evidence I can put forward to potentially the Sharks being better suited here is Dugan coming up against his old club. I think we see Dugan have his best game of the season. As I said, guys, I am so on the fence for this one. I'll go the Sharks by a try. I'll go them by 4 points, but please don't hold me to it. If you watched the video, guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. That's my tips for the upcoming round. If you want to let me know yours in the comments, or if you agree or disagree with any of mine, as I said, I like to spark discussion around rugby league because I love it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Set of Six podcast.